Vocabio. Master English your way.
Anything causes faith in those big tech companies to crumble, that would be pretty devastating for the stock market.
To the Kremlin's whims.
And Chris, do you think any weakness on
whole machine was just, crumbling before our eyes? Just to give you a little snippet.
A world order that is crumbling and fracturing, and that is very much.
Their infrastructure is crumbling. They're still using lignite. I mean, it's pathetic. Right?
And all of us prosper.
Tom, thanks very much. The division bell has rung.
Although we recognise that we want the EU to prosper, just as we want it to be secure, we want it to be rich, we want them to be wealthy.
You will be more efficient in production and you'll prosper. This is what we see in the context of China.
Or, what we can do to make innovation prosper. Obviously, we spend a lot of our time thinking about
and prosper, and we could call it the top 10%. It's people with education.
Bright or capable, somehow amassing enormous fortunes. But the principle
approach to effective communication strategies, he has amassed millions of followers around the world, teaching.
Since she was created around a year ago, she's amassed a big following and is making thousands a month.
There are companies like Microsoft that have also amassed a considerable amount of data, that can really kind of.
By trusting each other's opinions and amassing them and looking at how well the data is being done. Process of trying to revoke them if we do Brexit. But the more important issue for me is
retracted paper and whose license had been revoked by the UK Medical Association, or I don't know.
A corporation, and that charter could be revoked if you abused or misused your privilege.
Giant baby after it revoked his visa over influence operations.
We support revoking Article 50, but you'll never get it. I've resigned to.
As it has affected the 44 people who preceded him in the office, that the weight.
Well, it was preceded. First of all, it was preceded by
actually the Lisa computer, which preceded Macintosh. So go way back in tech, and then went off and did lots of other
century. In the years preceding the Russian Revolution in 1917, they had effectively infiltrated every radical.
1958 to 1947. But in the centuries preceding that, the British were
providing guardrails that may foster civility or even respectful exchange. But in the digital age...
First of all, China has fostered a pretty unique model of how to grow, how to develop.
To wage war against nature, nor to foster strife among nations. We stand for
the decarbonization of the electricity sector, fostering electric vehicles as a significant lever to achieve the goal.
Drawing us to a shared community. It fosters a climate of anxiety, division, antagonism.
Now, it's true, I also foresee, a kind of chilling future in which
happens when people willingly use it, which is what I foresee as the coming future.
And just for the benefit of our podcast.
He's right. I totally failed to foresee the once-in-a-century pandemic. Okay. All of the...
Water is a challenge, and with climate change, we foresee that being a challenge. Hopefully not, but it could be a challenge here.
You may have made progress. You may have incentivized lots of things that Keith rightly stressed, but that isn't...
that I'm suggesting simply aren't incentivized by an advertising business model which is seeking to match.
But they're not necessarily internally incentivized. Now, there will be a few bright sparks that are really in it.
Economy and more incentivized into recovering this material, which is extremely,
Book, they were very incentivized to do a good job in their local jurisdiction.
And read the history of the first 100 days under FDR, the sheer amount of legislation that went through, his ability to bring Congress to...
I'm just into the sheer weight of things changing people. I don't think I can change anyone's mind.
United States, given the sheer size and demography, without this organizing.
I came up short, frankly, certainly with just the sheer brain power some of these folks had. So
whatever sheer sloppiness he had with major documents.
Depend on workers we often overlook. Delivery workers, warehouse workers, grocery store.
The relationship is often overlooked
It's very, very far-reaching, that initial diagnosis.
Has the role of women been overlooked, do you think, in the creation?
Overlooked populations of both.
People were just, everyone was kind of overlooking us. So we kind of found a voice in rap, but you actually played.
Children, as someone said, contemplating the killing fields of Rwanda.
An angry, silent Russian middle class to contemplate regime change. Indeed, Owen does say...
Guilty of the highest crime contemplated in the United States Constitution, a reminder, a crime punishable.
And so I think, I'm not saying we shouldn't contemplate it, but I think to call this the Third World War is wrong.
And I know, which is amazing in retrospect to contemplate. But of course, if what you're looking to do is sell...
That deceit means a willful effort to mislead. You know it's wrong.
Could endanger, mislead, or debase. They would take into account not just impact, but intent.
Future possibility open to us mislead. The received economics of poverty.
A little bit in the book, and animals deceive and mislead each other a lot. So there are these, various animals.
Spreading these lies to mislead other people, not normal and acceptable.
Journalistic and patronizing way, and they were still racist and
temperament that made these politicians patronize, or at least
But is this patronizing idea is the fact that at its heart they don't really believe.
Patronizing, well-meaning but totally clueless. That
is, of course, exactly the kind of patronizing attitude that has driven people into being angry in the first place.
In the 1960s, at the eve of the Civil War, estimated 1 in 5 people in Britain was economic.
Right in the book, the midpoint estimate of the amounts of deaths in the Americas after European contact is...
Throughout the number of about 500,000, estimated 500,000 Ukrainians who have been forcibly deported.
Bit on the spot. I think they estimate that about 1 in 5 people will suffer at some point in the course of their lives.
More than last year. And it also estimates their collective wealth now at around 13
language of cultural appropriation necessarily fits. It does nevertheless conjure a sadness in me that would go in.
But there's a lot to conjure with for Xi in the next next 5 years or so.
Inexorably, too, identity politics has conjured the boogeyman of white identity politics.
Create their own racist ideas, conjure up their own racist ideas to explain.
It was like from their dreams, but they weren't able to conjure it during the day.
Author Atul Gawande made this statement: culture strangles innovation at the crib. And I would argue that if you...
in which sanctions are used to strangle businesses in Colombia and Mexico even have their own term amongst those.
The oligarchy which strangled Russian economy post-91. And is your opposition to Putin merely a...
Lloyd Grossman, who was a Canadian with a really strangled accent. And basically it used to take us around a celebrity home.
Have a increase their stranglehold on power. However,
Local team began a comprehensive review and redesign of the solid rocket boosters.
Involve lots of children redesigning the physical layout of the city, reducing the main.
There's a kind of corporate redesign that they start have a new.
From is you. Don't resign, redesign. So it may well be that you need to make a shift.
And those are points at time where we can redesign what we do, we can rebuild, reshape.
The actual moment, I'm slightly embarrassed to say, because it might sound a bit ridiculous.
Many organizations will resist because noise is embarrassing. We've talked about one problem of
women in the room to make sure that this is not an embarrassing situation. Do we have enough, highly melanated...
I suffer from premature enumeration, which I'm not embarrassed to say it. I think we should be able to talk about these.
It's too embarrassing to talk about or too awkward. And I remember at the time...
Welcome to COP23.
Each host country will nominate a president for the negotiations, and they can help
Hillary Clinton in the 2008 nominating contest, famously.
Or would you be upset if this person were nominated? Warren usually has the highest, should be a good nominee numbers.
Thanks to Intelligence Square for nominating mine as a charity for this. But the
human rights organizations are invited to nominate targets and submit evidence.
900-page book that's mostly analyses of data from the NLS.
2018, and it took them 8 years to analyze it. After careful analysis, they came to the conclusion.
After 15 years, these analyses suggest ceteris paribus using
studies, but the most robust meta-analyses of really every long-term diet study that's.
If you read the analyses of David, there's something that's missing.
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.